and welcome to today's episode of Greening Nevada. My name is Donna Walden, president of GreenUp, and I am your series host. Greening Nevada showcases businesses and manufacturers that have good environmental practices, reducing waste and minimizing pollution. The purpose for the series is to demonstrate how sustainable communities can lead to economic prosperity, helping Nevada thrive and become a green economy. I'm so delighted today to have Cody Witt here from Circle Soils and Compost. Cody is co-owner of the organization, and Full Circle's been around for 20-something years.
Yeah, 24.
Yeah, 24 years.
24 years this
Yeah.
year. Mm-hmm.
And you are operating out of Carson City, but you have operations throughout Nevada and Northern California too.
Yeah, so we're Nevada's oldest composting site. We're the first composting site. Started in '97, so if I think I did my math right, today's 24 years, yep. And then, yeah, we operate out of Carson City. We have a 40-acre composting facility in South Carson. And then we have a distributor network all across Northern Nevada, Northern California. The materials we compost come from everywhere, and then we send and try to get it out to as much of the community as we can.
Yeah, well, that's pretty amazing. And you divert so much stuff that goes into the landfill. Do you have any stats on some of that? And I'm going to be asking you about sustainability as well.
First, we started as a composting company on a dairy farm. And the whole reason to get into it was that we had a lot of cow manure. And as dairy farmers, we needed to utilize it. And so what we did is we started making compost. And my dad, Farmer Craig, we call him, started his journey of soil health and soil science, started creating compost so we could offset fertilizer costs. And that got us into our first iteration. And now over the years, we've grown and grown. We moved off the dairy farm, went composting only, got here into Carson City. And today, 2020, I have the stats for. That was our biggest year ever.
Wow.
We kept out of the landfill 87,088 cubic yards of material. So to put that into some numbers for us to think about, 87,000 cubic yards would fill the Wolfpack football field, 41 feet high.
Oh my goodness.
Full of organic waste. If you put it into weight, it would be the same as 16,000 Teslas.
Wow.
Out of the landfill.
Wow, that's pretty
16,000.
amazing. And what about greenhouse gases?
Greenhouse gases, so the EPA has a model, it's called the WARM model, and what it is through the composting process, keeping materials out of the landfill, and then turning it into compost, putting it back into fields to grow stuff. That volume or the weight of material we kept out of the landfill is the equivalent of pulling 30,000 cars worth of CO2 off of the road.
Wow.
Every year, 30,000.
Well, that's a big story. Imagine Carson City with 30, or Nevada with 30,000 less cars.
Oh,
that would be pretty amazing, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. Well, so Cody, tell me, why is sustainability important to Full Circle? Why is it important, and why do you care?
That's the backbone of our company. So the real reason sustainability is important starts with pretty much our reason for being. And originally on the dairy farm, not just to offset fertilizer costs, my dad, Farmer Craig, went on this mission and he said, hey, how can I increase the health and technically the health of the cows that I am feeding? And the only way to do that is to make really healthy feed, really healthy hay. So that's where we got into the composting world, was to how can we organically and sustainably increase the health of the hay, and we found out that was compost. And the byproduct of that, well, not the byproduct, to make compost you need materials. And just so happens that to get those materials, we utilize agricultural waste, yard waste, food waste, manures, leaves, branches, pine needles, fire prevention materials. And through this wonderful world of composting, to make a product, you also are able to keep materials out of the landfill. So over the years, the last 24 of them, we've been able to say, hey, not only are we making a product and recycling, we're able to keep those materials out of the landfill. So that sustainable aspect has just become part of our nature. And so it's not that it's just important on a business level. It's extremely important because we can do some of these things of keeping 30,000 cars worth of CO2 off of the road. So if you can have a business that not only provides a great end product to help Nevada soils and people grow more things, create food, healthy food, but also keep materials out of the landfill, you have this wonderful development of items. So the sustainable importance is kind of bred within the infrastructure of the company and then has now become ingrained into each one of us as full circlers.
Oh, wow, that's pretty amazing, Cody.
Yeah.
I know that you have a lot of sustainable community programs and that you're part of Nevada's circular economy. Do you care to comment on that?
So yeah, the composting thing seems to touch on every aspect of the circular economy and also just in general in sustainability. So here's a couple big and small ones. Let's start with a small one. So here's a perfect example of the circular economy and how composting can be very beneficial to the community. The University of Nevada, Reno, all of their landscape, they've got 22 acres of beautiful landscape. They got a lot of leaves, a lot of branches, a lot of grass clippings. Every month they ship us those materials. We take them to our facility, we put them into our composting process, make our end product, and then in springtime, actually right now, in March 2021, we're getting those first blends together to go back onto the university campus to be used as their main landscape fertilizer to cut down on chemical fertilizer costs, to help increase organic matter so they can save water at the university. So it's this crazy, awesome thing of being able to take materials that would normally be destined for the landfill, bring them in, make them into compost, and then bring them back to the community itself. In this case, it's the university, to be their main landscape fertility. On a bigger program level, we do this for the entire city of Carson. Every single home in Carson City has a brown can that you can put your yard waste in. We get all of those brown cans and then make it into compost that then can go back into the community on community projects or to just residents who are buying our products. The entire eastern side of Lake Tahoe from South Lake up to North Lake comes to our facility, and mainly that's for fire prevention materials like pine needles that they're raking up off of the ground so they don't catch on fire. Those come down to us. And then we have food waste partners in Truckee, California, South Lake Tahoe, California. We even do Walmart, for example. So many community-driven areas, and then the products can then go to regular residents, but the cool one that we love to do is community gardens, school gardens, for example, nonprofits through like the Eddy House, Urban Roots, many of these places that then are able to take Nevada-made recycled materials and put them out to help people grow really great stuff.
Wow. Well, that's a really good circular economy story. So what else would you like to tell us about Full Circle?
The other things for Full Circle, and the thing that we're really hoping for, is the support of the community to continue the greening of Northern Nevada. So the biggest aspect to that is, number one, not only composting, but that there are so many materials and so much material that can go to composting rather than to the landfill. And so it's working with your community members, your local governmental agencies, anybody to really say, hey, I want composting opportunities. And a lot of those can be done at your own home. So even people just doing composting at their own house is wonderful. But on a very large scale, how can we get these projects like the City of Carson's yard waste program developed in other locations? Where can we get more food waste on? For example, at the Green Dining District here in Carson City. And just expanding this ability to recycle organic materials, make them into compost. And then the key big part of this, though, is a lot of the community, we push for composting efforts, and we look at the recycling side. And as we see, Full Circle is a full circle. A lot of the times we only do half of the circle. We want to recycle the materials, we put it in our bin, and we're like, oh, we feel so green because it's in the bin. But if you're not utilizing products, or the community isn't utilizing products that are made from those recycled materials, For us in composting, for example, the more materials that come in, we've got to get those out and put them into the soil. So the big support aspect of not only getting programs started, but is for the community, landscape divisions, parks departments, governmental agencies to use local Nevada-made products, because that's the only way to keep these programs growing, is that the more stuff that we recycle and compost, the more that it needs to be used. So every city park needs some compost, the sides of roads. And here in Nevada, we're pretty light on compost and mulch and soils. We do a lot of chemical stuff. So if we can move away from that and get into the more natural feel, that would be the biggest thing that we're pushing for, is new programs, and then the ability for, or the desire for the community to use compost-based products.
Well, that's pretty amazing. So I want to tell you a little story. When I first moved here 10 years ago, I decided to compost, and I didn't know what I was doing, so I called your dad, Craig,
Yep.
and he gave me the full recipe for how to make compost, and I did everything according to Craig Witt. I had soil in 6 months. I haven't kept that up, so now we just buy soil from Full Circle
instead.
But the land here absolutely needs to be supplemented. You can't just grow things from the ground. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of your soil mixes?
That's exactly correct. I'm really glad that you started composting. A lot of people do backyard composting, and as you get about 6 months in, you realize how much hard work it is, labor intensively, and also trying to make a good product. Full Circle, we're out 365 days a year at the compost site. We got a group of 30 guys that are out there sorting, making product. And the composting process it's long. It takes us 6 months as well to make the compost. But what we focus on is the health of Nevada soils. Nevada soils, we have a metaphor, they're like babies. The reason we say this is that their actual digestive capacity is very similar. So for example, a baby to eat a carrot, you gotta cook the carrot, mush it up, and make it into baby food. Nevada soils don't have very much biology happening and little critters to eat stuff. So what we have to do is make really nice compost in a format that the soils can eat. You add that compost to the soils. What you're going to add to the soil is biology from the compost, organic matter, which we really need to help hold water. A lot of our soils here in northern Nevada are very sandy with no organic matter. We average 1%. We want to have 5% organic matter is what we're searching for. And the craziest part is with every 1% increase in organic matter, you can save 25,000 gallons of water to the acre. So for agriculture, if you move from say 2% to 5% organic matter, a farm per acre can save 75,000 gallons a year just in water holding capacity. So really in the world of compost, we're looking at the overall health of the soil from biology or a biological perspective, the health of the soil for water holding capacity, and then also nutrients. And what we do is not only do we make just compost, but we then look at soil tests. And then from a soil test, we can look at all the different available nutrients, and we can add different things to the compost to add it. So if you need some calcium, we'll add some gypsum and limestone. If you need some nitrogen, we'll add organic feather meal. If you need some molasses so the biology can eat some sugar because they like that, just like we love Red Bull, then you can have some molasses. So there's just so many opportunities to do that. And what Full Circle does is we've already done all that hard work for you. We've done over 3,000 soil tests in northern Nevada, so our products are made specifically for most of the wants and needs of Nevada soils. And then the products are there to replenish and to fix issues that we have so you can be very productive. And the key is that a lot of people give up on gardening and growing in Nevada because we just go, oh my gosh, it's so difficult here. Especially if you're a new transplant into this area. If you come from Oregon or Washington, everything grows. Here, it's really tough. 4-month growing cycle. But if the soil is correct and you create the environment for those plants, right here in Carson City sand, 150 pounds of tomatoes per plant in good old Carson City soil by making it and fixing it.
Yeah, well, we certainly use your compost. How do our viewers get compost?
For us, you can call us direct. Find us at fullcirclecompost.com. All of our information is there. We deliver direct, but then we also have over 30 distributor locations. So that's everywhere from Reno to Fallon, Yarrington, Smith Valley, Gardnerville, Carson City, Sparks. It's all listed on our website of every location. You can go pick up product in the back of your pickup truck or trailer. You can get bags of product if you would like. We're even at all the Raley's and Whole Foods. So there's so many locations to go get the compost. And then what we really love to do and what I encourage is that if you have questions about your growing project, if it's anything from laying new sod to growing a garden to just a rooftop garden or just a potted plant if you live in an apartment, if you need help growing, we love talking about it, as you can tell. And as you learned from Farmer Craig, we talk too much about growing, but that's what we love to do. The whole reason we exist is not just to compost, not just to keep things out of the landfill, but to make sure that we can grow some awesome food, landscapes sustainably here in Nevada. So yeah, just reach out to us and we'd love to chat.
That's very true, and you are absolutely a wonderful resource for our community. I think that perhaps the future of Nevada is to grow local, and you are right in the center of that. So really appreciate all that you do for the community. Thank you so much for being here. Anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
No, I think that's great. Again, please visit our website. There are so many resources for educational side, not just product sales. There's free Northern Nevada Growers Guide on our website, 20-page book on how to grow sustainably in Nevada. We put out blogs and newsletters all the time of how to start your turf or how to start seeds and use recycled containers. So just please visit our website for any resources you'd have. And then really just to support the greening of Nevada through all of these wonderful organizations and community activities that are happening on a daily basis. Please buy local if you can. Buy your food locally. There are so many cool small farms that are popping up now because of our new food community. Please buy from anybody local, and that would be the best.
Yeah, that's a good story and a very good message. Thank you, Cody, for being here.
No problem. Thank you.